Hey, Debbie Majher here for Teacher Talks, your weekly 10 minutes of encouragement, inspiration based for you to help you with your goals and your plans for the future, both as your career and your finances and your personal life. Thanks for joining me today for the next 10 minutes, and we are going to talk today about your future self. All right, your future self. What do I mean by your future self? Well, if you think about it, we think about our past self all the time. We think about our present self all the time. But how often do we think about our future self? Who will we be in the future? What are we going to look like? Who are we going to be? What are we going to be doing? Those are all really important things and really important things to be thinking about. And that's why we're talking about it today. I want you to take a few minutes, and we're going to take a few minutes to meet your future self. And why? Because it affects what happens in the future is affected by what you do now. The little things you do today are going to build up and affect whoever your future self is. Just like if you look back and take a minute, let's look back at 10 years ago from now, or 5 years ago from now. All right, who were you 5 years ago? Were you the same person? Did you have the same goals? Were you with around the same people? Maybe you were single and now you're married. Maybe you were renting and now you own a home. How are things the same and how are they different, right? And the little things you did then, like going to college and putting away money and paying off your loans, all those things affected who you are today and your future self now. But how often do we think about that future person that's depending on us now? If you're like most people, we don't think about them a lot, or certainly not enough. So let's say that you haven't spent a whole lot of time thinking about your future self. So the easiest way I know to start is to do this mirror exercise. So I'm going to ask you to please join me in this mirror exercise. And I want you to imagine with me. So take a mirror, and you're looking in a mirror at yourself, but the mirror is on the 50-yard line of a football field, 50 yards away. You're at the goal line. All right. What are you seeing in that mirror that's that far away? How clear are you? Usually the edges are fuzzy. You might be able to tell it's you. Don't know if maybe you got a picture, you might be able to tell that it's you. Can't really see where she's going, what she's doing. But she's there. She's real. Let's move that 50-yard line up to in the room with you at the far wall. Now what are we seeing? She's much clearer to me. I can see the edges. Smaller though still. Still far enough away that I don't really know her. I can't reach out and grab her hand and say, hey, Debbie, let's go do this. What is she doing? What does she like to do? I'd have a better idea of, I might know that person a little bit. Now let's move the mirror to about 10 feet away, 5 feet away. Now we can clearly see ourselves. We're not quite the exact same as we were. Maybe some of our, like if we're older like me, some of our wrinkles might not be as deep. We may be able to just see some things that are a little fuzzy still. Maybe what we're wearing is different. All right, well, what do these things mean and what are we representing? Well, in this exercise, I'm seeing the mirror at the 50-yard line. That's your 10-year mirror. That person, she's there. You can recognize her. She's still really fuzzy though. What is she doing? I'm not sure. But she's there. And she's doing something and she's living a life. And she's real. In the room, at the far end of the room, it's about 5 years from now. There's my 5-year person. I can recognize her much closer and much more. But I don't know exactly what she's doing. I don't know exactly what all of her life is like, but I've got a pretty good idea of what she's doing and where she is. And then 5 feet away, that's you from a year from now. You're not going to be the same. So it's not quite the same. It's not quite in focus, but it's pretty close. You have an idea of what you do now can affect that person in 1 year. So the whole goal here is to see that what I do now can affect my person in that 10 years that's on that 50-yard line. And I want to feel a connection with that person on my field line. I want to feel a connection with that person on the 50-yard line because connection with them is really important. And this is why. If you feel a strong connection between your present self and your future self, even though your present self is different from who you are today, you are much more likely to do the hard work of self-improvement. So even though your future self is going to be really different, if you know and you feel connected to that future self, you'll see that you need to make changes today to make that future self who you want that future self to be, who that future self wants to be or is. So here's some areas to think about. So our health, right? What do we want to be doing in 10 years, in 5 years? Where are we going to be? Am I still going to be hiking? Am I still going to be swimming in the lake in the summer? Am I going to be able to do my Appalachian Trail, which I was really on my bucket list to do still? What is my health going to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And what am I doing today to make sure that my health is the best that it can be? What about financial? Where am I going to be financially? When I look at my bank accounts and my investment accounts 10 years from now, what do I want them to look like? When I look at my credit card statements or my mortgage balance, what do I want to see there? How much do I want so that I feel like I'm comfortable? When I look and I say, I'm comfortable. I can travel now. I can retire. Or I can, if I was younger, if I could put my kids through college, what needs to be there in those accounts so I can do those things? And what about my relationships? Who am I going to be the closest to? Who will I be surrounding myself with? Where am I going to meet new friends? And where am I going to be doing things? If I'm still working, I'll probably have a lot of good work friends. The education world is awesome for making friends and for collaborating. But what if I decide to go and do something else? And then where am I going to find my relationships and build them? We easily separate the present from the future, but we fail to recognize that each of our presents adds up to an overall future. And what we do now matters and affects what we do in the future. And that's why our connection to our future self is just so important. So I have a little homework to help you make that connection with your future self. And I hope you find this fun. I think I did this homework and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to take 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. Put the timer on. Take out a piece of paper. Write a letter to your future self. 10 years from now, this is who you are. This is what I've done today. This is who I want you to be. This is who I hope you to be. Tell them about what's going on in your life, what you're doing now. A letter to your future self. At the end of 10 minutes, stop writing, put it in an envelope, and mark the date 10 years from now when you want to open it. And put it in a safe place. Take a deep breath. Because it's a fun exercise. All right. Then I want to take a new sheet of paper. Again, set that timer for 10 minutes. So you've got 2 sheets you're doing for 10 minutes. And this time, I want you to think of yourself as your future self. And what kind of letter would you write back to who you are now? What would you be telling yourself now from who you are 10 years in the future? What kind of advice would you give? What kind of things are you thankful for? A letter from your future self to you, and for 10 minutes. All right. Again, why are we doing this? Because the choices that we make today affect your future self. And sometimes it is just so easy to get dragged down by the things that are on our plate today that we don't take out the time to figure out what we want for the future, what we really want for us, for ourselves, for the future in all of our areas. And so that's why I'm so thankful that you took these 10 minutes out to listen to me and to join me on this journey. And I hope you'll take 20 more minutes to write those 2 letters. And then I hope that you will let me know at deb@teachersroadmap.com what you thought about the exercise. If you learned anything, any insights you gained, if you didn't like it or how you think it might be able to be improved, I would just love to hear from you. deb@teachersroadmap.com. Other than that, I will see you next week every Tuesday for Teacher Talks. Have a great day.